it's problematic. And I mean, I can give you an anecdotal example, and you tell me if this makes sense to you. So let's say that this is not a custom index. Let's say we are talking about NASDAQ, and we see the NASDAQ illustrates in the last 10 years at 16% a year. Now you take Apple, which is largest constituent of NASDAQ, you grow that at 16% over 10 years, and you go from 2.5 trillion to over 12 trillion. Now, as a comparison, that's like 3-4 times the GDP of Germany. So is that a good practice? I'm not so sure. I'll leave it at that. So that's one thing. The other thing is that I think it's interest dynamics here, right? So the only things that index providers or banks or asset managers have to show the performance of an index is a back test. To me, that, like illustration, shows you how things move, how you add things together, how do you multiply them, how do you mix the potion, but it doesn't tell you what a potion will do today, what it will do 10 years from today.
Yeah.
The view that we take at Index Standard is trying to demystify this at a few levels. One is, first of all, describe in a human language. You don't really have to read a font to understand what's going on in an index. There is a paragraph that would always tell you what index is made of and how it works. The other one is that we put it through an extremely rigorous algorithmic process that will give it a rating. So you will get rating anywhere from platinum, gold, silver, bronze, all the way to what we call watch, which is are not the greatest category that we currently have. On top of that, what we think it's important is to see how these indices will work in the environment that it's projected for the economy going forward. So this is what we call the wisdom of Wall Street. So we decompose every index into its building blocks and apply the capital market assumptions for the economy as a whole, what Wall Street, and again, we aggregate from over 30 asset managers, banks, insurance companies, forecasting houses on a capital market assumptions, and we apply that to decomposed indices to come up with a forecast of an index. So that, in our view, is kind of the opposing or counterbalance to what happened over the last 10 years or what happened in the illustration. Now, the backtest itself, the fact that you're using a hindsight there and you let mathematicians and technology, and they'll create you an index that have perfect 45-degree line in the backtest. The question is what happens after a live date. And we more often not see either them going flat, going down, but rarely ever they continue to skyrocket as well as they did. And I think the word of the day could be caution.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think my interest here is, obviously I'm direct to consumer and the largest person doing that. I'm hoping that we can come up with something that our clients can look at. Because right now, what you have, if I'm not mistaken, is kind of business to business, and you're providing it to business to business. This information that you're now cultivating and providing needs to be, as we discussed earlier, in a consumer format where consumers can look at it. I'm hoping that's where you're headed with some of this, because if you do, then we're the platform for that. Because I have nothing against index annuities. I was around in 1995 when they first were introduced, and they were put on the planet to compete with CDs, and they've become this really ridiculous thing that it seems like every single person that sells annuities, they lead with index annuities, which is a joke. They're not a one size fits all. And the index options, and I think right now there's over 750 that I know of, index option choices.
Hey, Stan the Annuity Man here. Did you like that little taste of my podcast, Fun with Annuities? Hey, if you want to see the full version, click the link and watch the whole darn thing. Remember, Fun with Annuities. Living the reality, not the dream.